Okay, we're recording.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike DeCroce. We're here to discuss our proposed budget for this year, upcoming year. And I'd ask everybody that's on, please identify themselves, and then we can get started.
Megan Mositis.
David
Robert
Diamond.
Committeeman Brian Woods.
You'll have to unmute. Anybody else online? Just me and you, Brian, and Megan?
Mike Southwick.
I'm here.
No.
Mike?
Yep.
David Diamond, committee member.
David?
Yeah, we got the full board.
Okay. All right, Lisa, you want to get started?
Great. And I'll just read, please be advised proper notice of this meeting has been given in compliance of the Open Public Meetings Act. So this special budget workshop has been advertised on our website as well as here in the building. It has been advertised to accommodate Zoom or in person. Currently, there is no one attending in person. And it has been advertised as a special budget workshop for the 2025 budget. And we do not anticipate to take any formal action today.
Okay, good.
So we also have Robin Verso, who is our registered municipal accountant, on with us. So that way he can answer any questions.
All right, great. Welcome, Rob. Can you hear us?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We saw you, couldn't hear you. Well, we appreciate the opportunity to speak to everybody today about the proposed municipal budget and the potential tax increase. Like all of our residents, we understand that the rising costs across the board are really hurting a lot of people. And it's not something, a tax increase is not something that should be presented as a default solution. So I hope today that we can clearly define and explain the reasoning where we are with our budget now and the reasoning for any shortfalls, and specifically what is driving the increase, Rob. And you can start with that, or Lisa.
Okay. I think first off, I could start with where we stand financially.
Yes, sir.
At the end of December of 24, we had a fund balance of $2,229,940. We put in the budget for 25, $1,332,000, and we returned $1,005,244, resulting in a ending fund balance of $1,903,000. So we took quite a hit. The reason being, we used a lot of money in surplus, the $1,332,000, and historically, we have replaced return to surplus in the last 4 years around $1,200,000, $1,100,000. So it's taken its effect. What's been happening to the municipality is our budget has become tighter. So we have less money coming back from reserves coming into the budget. That's the main driving force of what's happening. The budget's getting tighter. Years ago, we had a budget, we had a lot of extra money in, and we've returned surplus without too much trouble. Now what's happening, costs are increasing and all different things. So I can discuss what some of the driving increases are. And in this year's budget, we're using $1,271,000, which is probably a little more than I'd like to use. But in order to just come up with the 5-cent increase in the local rate, that's what we had to do. So the overall increase to the taxpayer is going to be 5 cents in the local purpose tax, but we're losing the 2 cents from the open space. So the net results a 3-cent increase, which is approximately the average homeowner about $95 a year, which really isn't too bad. And we had some driving things this year that affected us. Reasons for the tax increase. We had health insurance, 73,000 went up. The principal on the fire truck was a new item. That was 66,000 in van principal. Ambulance aids going up around 60,000. We had the street sweeper with Burlington County, that's 20,000. And we're decreasing on the revenue side. Construction code went down 20,000. You can only anticipate what you receive in the previous year. We had a shortfall in construction code versus what we budgeted last year. So it was 20,000 less. And of course, in surplus, we had another 61,000. So that's around $300,000 of the levy increased to about 336,000. That's about 300,000 of it. So that's the major thing. Other things went up and down a little bit.
Okay.
So I think that's an overview of where we are. And the other thing happening is in municipal government in Jersey, there's two caps. There's an appropriation cap and there's a levy cap. The appropriation cap, we're under that. So we're fine there. The levy cap never applied to us because we were always under 10 cents. And it doesn't apply to us this year because we're going over 10 cents for the first time. We went from 9.9 cents to, what do we say, 14.9 cents. So it'll affect us next year. And we always wanted to stay under the 10-cent cap because the levy cap is basically, if all your budget stays the same, it's 2% on the levy. At this point in time, if this budget's approved, our levy is only $992,000, which isn't a lot of money. And 2% of that is not very much money. It's under $20,000. So to live within that, now in the levy cap, there are exceptions. If you have an increase in capital, you have an increase in debt, health insurance, pension, the PRS pension, those are the main items. So it could be rough going forward. And that's why we always try to stay under that 10 cents. We just can't do it anymore. That's the bottom line.
Rob, if we levy tax, does that have an additional tax impact on us or on to the state or to the residents? What is the benefit of staying under the 10 cents?
By staying under the 10 cents, you're not regulated how much you can go up. But honestly, our levy was never going up that much, obviously, because we stayed under the 10 cents. I mean, the previous year, the levy was only $656,000. Now we're jumping up to 992. And get to your point, who's it affect? It affects the taxpayer. The taxpayer is going to pay more in their tax bill. Only 3 cents, though. I mean, I had 10 municipalities. A lot of my municipalities really got whacked this year. 10 cents, 15 cents. I mean, all kinds of things happening. And probably would have been more, but they were regulated by the levy tax, levy cap, and also the appropriation cap. All towns are different. Some affect others more than the other way.
And Rob, do you see any steps that we can take to reduce spending before turning to the taxpayers for the additional funds that we need?
Well, the responsibility of the appropriation is really the township, and Lisa put this together, and she did cut a lot of things to get down. So it's a tough call. Is there something in there that we could cut by $300,000? I don't think so.
Okay. How about anything less than that? Do you see anything glaring that we're looking at, that we should be looking at?
No, I don't. I mean, if you compare the budget to the previous year, there's most of the things you have to spend. I mean, you look at all your appropriations. Basically, municipal budgets are driven by salary and wages and health benefits. I mean, they are what they are. The OE expenses have been beaten down to death almost in every municipality, but salary and wages, what's already in health benefits throughout the state are killing places. It really is.
And what the township's fund balance is or surplus that we have after this?
Well, the surplus, what's going to happen this year? At the end of the year, our surplus, like I said, was $1,900,000. It depends how we return this year, because what's happening in next year, we're going to be taking out $1,271,000, and then we have to replace it. We have good sources of money, like current year taxes. Last year was $360,000 that came back. We have good taxpayers. Everybody pays their taxes. But the other big thing is canceled appropriations and appropriation reserves. And like I said, the budget's been getting tighter, so that money's been going down. That's what's been hurting us. So by cutting the appropriations, you actually hurt yourself for the future. That's it's a tricky game putting these budgets together. And we haven't had to worry about that prior to this year because we were under, the levy cap, but things are catching up to us.
Gotcha. Okay. Are there any other towns that you're aware of in the state of New Jersey that are still under 10%, 10 cents?
No, I don't think there's many. I'm not sure there's any left in it. It used to be, I think, Lower Alloways Creek, what years ago was with that nuclear plant, but
If I could add in, I have the 2025 abstract of ratables for Burlington County. And as far as Burlington County, last year's taxes, we were the only township under 10 cents.
yeah, in Burlington County, yes.
In
And maybe
Burlington
some down
County.
in Salem or something, I don't know. There's a lot of municipalities. There's 500 and something.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Lisa, do you want to bring us up to speed on what you've done and what you think the lay of the land is?
Oh, sure. So this was handed off from Sue. Last year, as Rob had mentioned, she did use a little bit more of the fund balance in the 2025 budget. And in her opening conversations in 2025, before the budget was introduced and adopted, she had anticipated leaving it the same last year and having some type of jump this year with the 2-cent sunsetting. And this would be the opportunity to take that chunk when we go over the 10 cents. So that way we can catch up on what extra she's been using out of the fund budget. Like Rob had mentioned, we have new street sweeping. UCC is down a little bit. There was a jump in new residential housing, but that's slowed down. And any anticipated projects, commercial-wise, haven't been making any leaps and bounds. So we really can't anticipate what we're going to get in for UCC. So that had to be cut down a little bit on what we're expecting in. Of course, the health insurance has gone up. That's a goal for this year around the time of open enrollment is to have the 4 current employees on the health insurance see if they'd like to reduce their plans to save a little bit. But that would be the next goal, is to see if we can get into a local HIF or any type of joint insurance plan, since a lot of municipalities have in the last 2 or 3 years stepped out of the state health plan because they had seen the increases that were coming. But unfortunately, like everything, they had gotten really good rates from brokers, promised sunshine and rainbows, and 1, 2, 3 years into the plans, the townships are paying more than they were anticipating, more than they were paying in the state plan. They're having complicated plans, having to put in money and fund all these card programs, and it's just very complicated. So Sue had met with brokers previously, and nothing came of that. Unfortunately, we're not a well sought out town, only having currently 4 employees on the active benefits. We were kind of a sitting duck waiting to see what comes of the health insurance in this area. So that would be the next goal. But we've done everything we can. I mean, we don't have excess employees here. We only have the 4 full-times on insurance, and then 1 full-time takes the benefit waiver plan. We do a lot of shared service, so that way it cuts down on our pension as well as benefits. So Sue's done a good job setting all that up, and we'll continue doing as much shared service as we can. Let's see. And then as far as TRS, due to some recent conversations, I've been speaking with Mayor Mike and Deputy Mayor Brian, and we believe that we can anticipate needing in the budget no more than $100,000 at this point, due to the fact that we're already heading into June and we still don't have an agreement. So we were able to from the original draft that we had given you back at the first May meeting. I spoke with Rob and we were able to remove a little bit out of the EMS budget line and use a little bit more of the fund budget. And we were able to get it down to the 5 cent that we're looking at now.
Okay. Lisa, is it your opinion that we've looked at every possible efficiency or structural issue to see if we can cut somewhere else before we increase tax burdens?
Yes, I have significantly cut. We have a budgeting system that takes several years, appropriation and actual spent. And I've evaluated this 10 plus times and gone back and forth with Rob over the phone, shaving off as much as I could. We even, as far as IT services, we've cut down phone lines and everything we can. The other thing that's a question mark is energy costs. Energy costs are going up. We got significantly hit with salt this past winter, so that's a line that you don't want to take a chance on. So there's a lot that we did cut, but I don't see any line sticking out that we would be able to cut any more on.
Okay. All right. Why don't we go around the horn and see who's got any questions or comments? Rob, do you have anything further to add before we do that?
I guess one of the things that's been hurting our surplus, we have what happens in municipal government. We have a grant fund, and we have these transportation grants, and we haven't gotten the money in for the DOT grant at Zion Road, phase. I want to say what phase 2, 3, and 4. It's a significant amount of money, and when that comes in, that will help our surplus. Because what's happening is we had to advance the money from the current fund to cover that. And when you do that in a municipal government, it hits the reserve and it takes it out of surplus. So the interfund receivable from the grant fund is hurting us. Now, the good news is when that comes back in, it will help our surplus get back up.
Got it. Okay, good point.
I can add a little bit to that. I've been working closely with our engineer, Joe Hirsch's office, and some of the employees that he has working on the grants behind the scenes. And there was a little bit of a change in the process. Everything's been automated online, but the state has created some obstacles for the people inputting it. It creates a lot more work, and they really have to go through the grant information so much more thoroughly, and they're having to reprocess existing grants that they already filed because just the way they're making them code it. So just behind the scenes in our engineer's office, it seems like they were a little behind with the updates to the state process. But they are working on it as best as they can. And I've let them know that, it was a concern as far as our budget. So they are aware of that.
Rob, as you've done these budgets for other towns, have you noticed that there are other grants that are out there that are being acquired that perhaps we should be applying for?
Well, the typical grants are the DOT grants are the big ones. Clean communities we have. What else do we have here? We've got a Burlington County Port Grant. In Burlington County, those are really the main things. A lot of other ones are police grants. Of course, we don't get those.
Right. Okay.
The main ones are the DOT grants. Typically, people don't do roads unless they get a grant for it.
Got it. All right, perfect. All right, Lisa, do you have anything further before we open it up to members?
No, not at this time. The only other change to the budget that's different than prior years, I also just wanted to make you aware that as the way we were handling escrow is a little different than previous. I was given instruction that if there's an escrow that's delinquent, we should be covering it as the township and continuing to try to get the funds back from the delinquent party. Previously, the bills were going outstanding with the professionals, and professionals being Joe Hirsch's office and Chris Norman's office. But I was instructed that that wasn't the proper process and that our professionals should be paid for the services that were done. So we're having to go back and fund it out of a budget line and then try to chase the applicant. So with that being said, those two budget lines, I really had to put some thought into which escrows we have outstanding, and that affected our 2025 budget at the end of the year, and it's going to go forward. So we always have to keep in mind those outstanding escrows and try to communicate between the offices to make sure that we're on top of that.
Great. All right, Deputy Mayor Brian, have you got any questions or comments, suggestions?
Sure. I mean, I had one question. I guess I'll make a statement along the line of yours and just hearing this information. I mean, it really seems like this town is kind of the victim of its very long-term success on keeping taxes flat to the point where any type of increase that wasn't even large but medium or mediocre would have made this tax increase a reality. So I mean, it's bad. It is not good news for us and the residents that we are going to have any type of tax increase, something approaching $100 an average household. But the fact that we haven't had to do this for nearly a decade, and are the only town that we know of that is under the 10 cents levy. And I used to cover a lot of towns in my old profession and have never really seen a town run like this so responsibly on taxpayer dollars that um, it's unfortunate, but I think we were successful for a very long time, and I hope that this, if we do this, is the only time we do this for the next decade. So um, that's my comment on that. Second thing is, as far as maybe this is a question better for if Doug is here, but as far as the property for the solar field, do we have an estimate on how much that could bring in and if that could help down the line? I'm assuming that's not something for this year's budget. But if that could be helpful for us next year's budget, just on the type of tax dollars we're talking about if that project comes to fruition.
That's definitely something we're still working on behind the scenes, Brian.
Okay.
I actually was sending out emails today. We've been in close conversation with the tax assessor to see exactly what that's going to bring in. And Doug had mentioned at one of the last meetings that he was hoping to have some numbers for this budget, but it didn't
Okay.
come through. So I would expect it to be in future budgets.
So, so tax dollars on the property obviously will help. Is there anything that the township stands to gain for the actual solar field? Do we know?
So part of the pilot program or I'm sorry, part of the open space where we had spoken, if we get to that certain percentage, we're going to get a larger um, kickback from the state. So that's why we're looking at a few properties to see what we can either look at to, like if it's in municipal lien, if we can acquire it and add it to our list. So it's an ongoing process that we're working on because Doug's really been stressing that it's important for the township to do that.
What about, do we know specifically about the sale of energy? I mean, like if
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
No,
if a
no, that I don't
solar,
know.
okay, all right. I don't know if that brings anything in over what you get just for property taxes on that property, or not. Maybe that's a question for Doug. I'm really
Yes,
not
I'll
sure
write
of
it
the
down
answer.
and I will find out from Doug and give an
Okay.
update at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the other one is the cannabis that we're not getting in. That's, another one that we were hoping would start, giving us something back
Do
for
we
being an opt-in town.
do we have any irons in the fire besides the Shamong Diner property? It seems to be the only one that is currently. I don't even want to go say going forwards, but at least going sideways. Do you know of any other irons in that fire as far as
N-
anybody in the township working towards a license?
There is
Not Not currently. I get reached out to every so often, and I go above and beyond with customer service to try to give them all the information about how great it would be for them to invest in our town and meet with us. But nothing's come through. I think it's hard with the area that was approved, the restrictions, and the Pinelands, and also a lot of the companies that reach out are just looking to do retail. Whereas we have the provisions in there that they can't just open a retail without accompanying another license type. So that also stops people from interest.
Yeah, we do have the property that was already pre-approved in the industrial park, and that I understand has been up for sale. The license and the property have been up for sale, but I haven't spoken to them in quite a while, so I'm not sure where they were. But unfortunately, we're not near, as you know, any major highways, or despite the promotion that we're between, major cities like Philadelphia and New York and all of our New Jersey northern cities and Atlantic City, that wasn't sufficient enough to entice somebody that like came in at Winslow that built an unbelievably large production facility there. And as you've seen in every other town, they basically have been able to open dispensaries. And we were one of the first towns in New Jersey that came public, trying to entice people to come here and do business. And the Pinelands Commission has been standing in the way of the development of the Shamong Diner going back to 1984, saying that there are things that were not completed, even though there was a business, of course, as we all know, that was opening and operating. So they've become frustrated and have spent a tremendous amount of money. So that's why that project hasn't come to fruition. Let's go to Miss Megan, since you have tenure.
Yeah, no, I don't have any any questions or comments. Brian actually had addressed it because I was going to ask about the solar field with the panels.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Thank Committee member David. Any questions or comments?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I would like to remove the $20,000 for the street sweeping. Mike made a point. I didn't realize it was going to be that much money, and I think we could reduce the budget by $20,000. Our streets are pretty clean, and if the state's not going to fund it or give us any money towards that, I don't think we should be putting $20,000 to clean the streets when they're already clean.
I'd be
Yeah.
happy. I'd be happy to put it back on the agenda if you'd like.
Yeah.
Well,
Did
I
we?
think we voted yes, but if we don't fund it, then I don't think it's a problem. I mean, if everybody votes yes for it, and then, or is there a second vote on
Well,
that?
we voted yes on a contract, right? So
Well, we were that it was mandated by Burlington County, and I'm not sure either if we had a vote. I believe I voted against it. But I don't recall. I don't.
Yeah, Mike, you did vote against it.
Yeah.
Yes, it was on the agreement. The vote was on the agreement, and it's mandated by our stormwater management, which is through the DEP.
Yes,
Well,
but
that's fine. If we voted yes, but we don't fund it, then I mean, I don't know what kind of
Well-
contracts we have.
yeah, I would assume we would have to vote to repeal since it was a vote on the contract with Burlington County.
I didn't realize there was going to be $20,000. That's a lot of money to me to
do something that we don't need.
yeah, exactly. And that would save the taxpayers money.
Lisa, why don't you reach out for Doug and find out what the protocol is for having a cancellation vote for that contract, and the potential ramifications as to whether or not the county would end up suing the town for this amount of money.
It's the state. I don't think the county really cares. They were just one of the they were just the lowest bidder in offering these services. I know we reached out to Chesterfield, which just didn't have the capability at the time, and I think it's grants. They'll hold. I'm pretty sure that's what Doug was saying was that's what they would hold certain funding over your head or grants or
Hold our,
um,
that was the hammer. What if we think about this? what if we have our own in-house guys do it and we rent the machine?
That I don't know anywhere that rents the machines. To purchase them, it would be significantly higher in cost and maintenance.
There's that green they are street companies do rent them. I think United Rental rents them, and there could be another company. I could look into that. That's a great idea, Mike.
Yeah, look into that, Dave, and see, because then I think we'll just say if we're mandated to do the street sweeping, we'll do it ourselves. We'll use our in-house crew.
That's an idea. I like it.
Okay. Nice suggestion, Dave. Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Okay, and then to our youngest member, Mr. Michael. Welcome.
Well, a couple of my questions were answered in terms of the health insurance increases and the surplus. Sounds like we're on track to at least get some competitive bids with the health insurance, and the surplus will be answered with the when we get paid from the state for the road projects. One question, being I am new and not familiar with it, I know we're offsetting the 5-cent increase with 2-cent open space program. Is that additional money that we just realized now, or is that money we applied elsewhere in prior budgets? That open space 2 cents? I'm understanding that right.
So that was a referendum that was previously voted on by the voters, and then it was voted on again and extended. So that's been going into a local open space fund.
Okay.
So now that that's sunsetted, rather than going back out for referendum to extend it again, now it's just being sunsetted. And since we have the increase, it's being rolled into this. So that way residents feel less of an increase.
No, I'm in favor of that.
Lisa, will that completely exhaust that 2 cents that we're taking out, completely exhaust the open space fund that we have?
Well, the open space, do you have that, Rob? What we have in our open space fund?
Yeah, we have a lot of money in open space. We have we've accumulated over the years, and we use minimal amounts. And at the end of the year, we have a reserve for open space of $1,412,000.
Okay, so it's possible. Well, I don't know if this is.
And it's actually in this budget. Excuse me, we put 50,000 in because we're doing required maintenance on different things. So
Got it. Okay, so
we're using it.
Well, for us, is it not, Rob, that we could actually forego a tax increase and use all of the money from the open space? Is that
No, you have to use that for
Yeah, no, it's used for open space.
that goes out in the voter referendum what you're going to use it for. So you could buy we've used it mainly to buy properties to add to that open space total that we have to buy open space lands, and then you could use it for recreation too, but you're constitutionally capped at what you could use it for.
And is that 2%? Is that the 2 cents? Well, where's the cap?
Not I mean, like it's in the voter referendum what you can use open space funding for. Literally open space. You could buy open space with it to save as far as the township, which is what we've mainly used it for, or you could use it for recreation improvements, I believe. Sorry, Rob, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just been through.
No, that's fine.
How are we that 2 cents then to offset the tax increase? And why can't we make it 5 cents?
It's a 2-cent tax, which is sunsetting. So now the residents won't be taxed that 2 cents anymore. So it's pretty much that tax is being eliminated, which means that a 5% or a 5-cent tax increase is more realized as a 3-cent tax increase because they're seeing a 2-cent elimination. So if we raise our budget by 5 cents, it's the reality of the actual increase is just a 3-cent because the open space is sunsetting, which is 2 cents of a tax.
All right, that clarifies it. And that's so now we need to figure out how we can use that $1 million in a way that is creative, that we can use it so that we keep taxes down rather than building. It's nice that Burlington County or the state gives us $100,000 to put into blacktop over at Dingletown Field, which, is a giant waste of money when you're looking at other people that are struggling, and we're raising taxes. So maybe just put that in everybody's brain to think about. We have $1 million there, and how could we better use that? And I know what it was, meant for. I understand that, but it seems to me that there's a lot of money being wasted, and we can't do the simple things like fill our potholes or the other things that government is supposed to do. Do you have anything else, Mike?
No, I agree. It's a heck of an opportunity. We got $1.4 million sitting there, and I understand that we're being limited to what we could use it for. But yeah, I think it's something worth exploring.
I mean,
Lisa,
I don't know. You're just going to run into a wall. Again, this is not something we did. It was presented to the voters as an open space tax, and they voted yes on it to be taxed 2 cents a year for open space. It quite literally is just a law where you're allowed to use for land acquisition, uh, recreation and parks, uh, park facility maintenance, farmland preservation. You could use it for historic preservation. I know that. So if we have any historic sites you want to use it for, but we can't just start paving our roads with it because it's it went to the voters for a 2% tax for open space. And I think it is very valuable to have that because people do want to see land protected and acquired so we don't see overdevelopment. So I think it is valuable to have that money on hand when these purchases do come up where people, want to sell their farm instead of developing their farm. So I don't know. It's just not like you can't actually get creative with it. There's a bullet list of things you're allowed to use it for.
got it. To hear, Lisa, I'd like to reach out for Doug and find out whether or not we can have a referendum, put it on the ballot to see if voters would agree to take some or all of the money that's in the open space and put it towards the general budget.
It's a state law that's not going to be allowed.
Well, I'd like to at least explore that to see if there's a possibility. And the second is we are trying to get the additional land so that we can get over the cap for the state so we can get the additional money. So I do realize that and agree that that's a valuable asset to have. But have 1.4 million. Rob, do we have that in an interest-bearing account?
Yes, that earns interest.
Okay. All right. So reach out for Doug and get his thoughts about a voter referendum, and he'll research the state laws to what we can and can't do. But if the voters said we can have it for open space, voters say we don't need it for open space, then I'd like to at least explore whether or not we can do that.
Sure. I do agree. I believe Brian's correct in how much we're limited, but I'd be happy to ask Doug.
Yeah, you specifically vote on opening an open space trust fund account, which is something by state law that you can open. Most towns have one, and it's just you could look. I'm not saying you can't look into it. I just know by law that's not going to be allowed. But if you guys want to look into it, you can. I dealt with this at the county a lot with open space. The county's very well known for its open space trust fund because of how much land it's preserved, and have looked at this law before. It's just not going to be something that's legally allowed to, even for voters to choose to push that over to the general budget, because you are quite literally opening what is called an open space trust fund account. Yeah, just how those work.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments or ideas or suggestions? Okay.
I just want to thank Lisa and Rob again. Really good work as you all do every year. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this will be on next month's agenda.
Yes, as Rob has mentioned, there is a new regime up at the state, so they are very particular. So technically, we are behind schedule with postponing this, but we wanted to give the committee ample time. So that's why we scheduled this platform to be able to ask the questions. So we would look to introduce it on the next meeting, which is going to be after the second Tuesday after the election. So it's going to be on June the 9th. And then we would move forward with adoption at the following meeting on July the 7th. So I'm okay. I think if everyone just gives the okay, we can informal agreement that we can just remove the street sweeping for now, so we can at least move forward on the budget.
I'm in agreement with that.
I am also, even though I voted for it, but I thought I was thinking that we were going to get reimbursed, like David said, so I was wrong. If they're going to charge us 20 grand, we don't need it.
Yeah, we can. I mean, if it comes down to it, that they absolutely force our hand to make a decision and move forward with a sweeping before the end of the year, we can always make a transfer, the last 2 months from another account if we need to.
Everybody else in agreement?
Yes, I am.
I am.
Great. Lisa, great job. Rob, thank you so much. And everyone,
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
busting in the middle of your day and talking through this. I think it was very helpful.
Okay, thanks. Glad I helped.
Thank
great.
you. And just for the record, there are no other guests online, just one employee of ours, Lisa, and there is no public here present for public comment.
Okay, great. This be posted on YouTube?
Yes, it will. Mm-hmm.
Future meetings going forward be posted on YouTube?
Yes, so they are already posted on YouTube, but it was always just the practice of the prior administrator clerk to have just the audio. So we had spoken, and we're gonna move forward and just do the video if everyone is okay with that. So we can announce that at the next meeting where there's probably more public to let them know. And we'll have the audio going forward the video going forward from the June meeting, the June 9th meeting.
Okay,
It's actually easier for me because right now I have to convert it and it takes like a day downloading. So that's good.
but the only other thing I wanted to mention, really in 30 seconds or less, is that there was a hearing before the Pilots Commission regarding the circle. They have announced their intent to approve the circle at their next meeting on June 9th. That is the end of the appeal period. So if you know one or that wants to appeal it, that needs to be done. Lisa, has that been posted on our web? Let people know.
It has, yes. Did you want an alert to go out to the public also?
That's wise. And
Okay.
so or you can have it just go out as a text, but the roundabout, they've tentatively approved it. The vote is on the 9th. Any appeals have to be in before then, and how to appeal, and maybe just have a contact person where they can get a hold of you. And I am considering, just so you know, filing a pro bono on behalf of the landowners, but I've just got a full cup and I don't know if I can put another drop of water in the cup at this point, but I'm at least considering it. And if you want, you can find, if anybody did not attend that meeting, you can go on YouTube and it's on there as well. The comments are a lot of good comments and a lot of people came out. So amazing how quickly the Pinelands could jump and approve this project without, I don't think, ever looking to see if there was a box turtle or the new grass that was there or the moth or I didn't see any studies that they did. Did you, Lisa?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, that's all I have, everybody. And you missed
Great. And may I have a motion to end the meeting?
Aye. I'll make a
All in
motion.
favor?
Aye.
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 I,
Those opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.